how to re-engage and re-motivate current board members. A couple of weeks ago, I was talking to this lady, wonderful lady from Georgia. She runs a non-profit that provides shelter for single parents, single mothers, especially ladies experiencing some sort of domestic violence abuse. And God blessed this lady because she's got a very wonderful board, like quality board members, people who have the skills, the expertise to support her in making her vision a reality. But there's a challenge. Regardless of the quality of board members she had, there was really little support coming in from these board members. And of course, that left the organization struggling to raise money, left the organization struggling to keep their programs afloat. And that really got me thinking, right? It means beyond having quality board members, right, to ensure you have a successful organization, there are other factors that are involved. And this is one lesson that I think every board member, every non-profit founder, every CEO out there needs to learn. Sometimes your board members may not be the problem. The problem may be within your own organization. So I'll explain. Board members, right, give their best when they come into an environment that is set up to help them give their best. And then again, the recruitment process, which is bringing in these board members, when they get to bring in these board members, there are steps that have to be taken to ensure that when these board members come into the organization, right, they are willing to commit and they are willing to follow through with making the organization a success. But because most founders do not go through the actual steps of bringing in these board members, they end up bringing in these board members, and then in no time, the board members are detached or they are not, entirely involved in the organization. So for you, aside the aspect of bringing in quality board members, the process of bringing them in is important. And also when you bring them in, how you engage them is also important. So having quality board members is one thing. Being able to get them to create results is another thing entirely. And this is exactly what I'm going to be talking about today when I say re-engaging and re-motivating current board members, because some of the board members you presently have within your organization may be, quality board members. They have the skills, they have the experience, they have the passion to help you, but because you didn't bring them in the right way, or you didn't even, set up a system that they can be a part of to keep them engaged and committed, you end up having quality board members who can't support your work. So now, if you're in this situation, what do? You have to re-engage and re-motivate these board members because these guys are still valuable. I'll tell you, if you go out there to go look for quality board members, for you to replace one within your board you presently have is going to take you more effort, than re-engaging and re-motivating them. So how do you re-engage and re-motivate these quality board members who are a part of your board, but they are not presently engaged and they are quite detached from the organization? So today I've listed 7 clear steps to help you re-engage and re-motivate your current board members. The very first step starts with the board assessment, which we started talking about at the beginning of the week, right? You need to be able to assess your board. How do you assess your board? You need to be able to, first of all, assess each board member at an individual level, like a self-evaluation for each board member. And you also need to be able to assess the board as an entity. There's a reason for this. Assessing each individual helps you understand their core strength, helps you understand where they can help you, how they can be able to help you. And assessing the board as a whole helps you see where the gap is within the board and how to complement that gap. So the self-assessment is Solution Matter, what we do with self-assessment is we provide each board members a form to fill, and by filling up that form, they get to provide us their present state within the board, how they feel about the board, how they think they can contribute to the board. By going through that self-assessment, we get to capture all that information so that we know how best to engage them further. And of course, by filling up that form, we can also assess the entire board as a whole so that we can be able to see where the gap is and where we have to, fill up the gap. So re-engaging and remotivating old board members starts with what? Self-assessment. You have to be able to give each board member the opportunity to assess themselves by providing them a form, including top questions that can help them self-evaluate themselves. Now, what we do with that assessment is we take that response, we look through it to see where each board member is as a present, where the gap is within the board, and then you move on to the next step. The next step is engaging each board member to be able to help them forward. So now they've been able to self-assess themselves, and you've been able to see the result of their assessment. You see where they're lacking behind and where they have to improve, or you see that they are presently detached or they don't want to come back in. The next step is to have an open conversation with them where you get to help them forward. So the conversation could go as much as, this is what we found from your self-assessment. We're seeing that you may not be in the position to be, to be able to serve on the board as at present. What do you think about that? So you want to be able to help them reach a destination. You want to be able to help them reach a decision that's going to help the organization. So in that kind of a conversation, you could hear those who will tell you, yes, I'm still very much available to give my best to the organization. Or you could hear the word, I think this is more than me. I think I need to step down for somebody else to come in. But it is very important you have that sort of conversation with them where they get to really know that this is how they get to impact the board based on their present circumstances. And this is how you want, you all have to move forward so that the board can actually be a balanced board that can help the organization achieve its purpose. So without having that sort of conversation, right, you are most likely going to be in a situation where you don't know where the board member is and you don't even know how to move them forward. And if you go on to just push them off the board, you're most likely going to create enemies and malices within the board. So it's very important that you help each board member understand their role within the board at present, and then they can make a better decision saying, we want to move forward, we want to commit, we want to keep supporting, or we want to step off. Or it could be, we want to step into an advisory role or just serve as a resource person within the board. But the key thing is you're having a conversation based on the result of your evaluation, and you're helping them make a decision that's best for the organization and also best for them. Now, once you've been able to do that, the third step is to provide each board member with the support they need to either transit or stay. So for those who are transiting to advisory role, you can help them transit successfully, make sure they are comfortable within the advisory role. For those who are saying, I'm willing to still commit, I'm willing to still give my time, you're helping them, understand what that looks like, and providing them training so that they can be able to understand their roles and responsibilities, so that they can be able to give their time and support as much as you want. So, or it could just be an orientation, right? Or whatever support that they need to be able to make that decision that they've been made, to be able to act on that decision that has been made, you need to provide them that support to do so. That's why you're the leader. If anyone who's transiting, you should be able to provide them the support to transit successfully. Anyone who's staying, you should be able to provide them the support to be able to become grounded in their roles so that they can give the best to the organization. The fourth step is strategic planning. Now, they've agreed to stay, you've been able to support them to understand their role and what to do as regards supporting the organization. The next step is to plan strategically with them. Once board members have been detached from an organization for some time, it's usually they usually have so many gaps to fill as regards information, understanding what the organization is presently doing, and all the activities going into the organization. So it is important when bringing them back in, you start with planning with them or reviewing the plan you already have going on with them. This will help them find alignment. This will help them gain complete understanding of what you're trying to do so that they can best help you moving forward. Now, after planning with them or after reviewing the plan with them, the next step is to delegate responsibilities, right? Like I said, the bringing in board members is one thing. There's a standard process to recruiting board members. I'm going to talk more about that tomorrow. If you don't get that right, and then when you bring them in, there's also a process to keep them engaged. So if you don't get the process to keep them engaged right, you're also going to lose them. So delegating responsibilities and or asking them to join committees is one way to keep them engaged or put them within the system in the organization so that they are constantly in touch with the organization, and then you don't lose them anymore. So you could delegate different responsibilities to them. It could be managing volunteers, it could be stewarding donors, it could be reaching out to their network for fundraising. Whichever way they think it's best to support the organization, you must delegate responsibilities to them or put them into committees where they can begin taking up responsibilities and working for the organization. If you leave people without responsibilities and expectations, they are most likely going to get detached in no time. After you've been able to delegate responsibility and, of course, ask them to join committee, the next step is to create an accountability process. Just setting expectations and delegating responsibilities won't do. Some people are good at what they do, but without accountability processes in place, they are most likely not going to follow through. This is why you see most big companies create results, because when they employ people in, they create accountability processes that ensure that these people do what they are supposed to do. So you need to be able to set up such accountability processes in place, set up expectations so that everybody knows this is what's expected of me, this is how it's expected, and I'm being held accountable to whatever I do within the organization. This is very important to ensure that they commit and they keep coming back to support the organization. So there are different accountability processes, of course. You could call in on a Monday, call in on a Friday to follow up on what's being done, what support they need, and how to move forward. Or you could set up reporting systems or using any of these project management platforms to ensure that you're following up with your board members. So once you've been able to set up the accountability process, of course, you need to be able to reward your board members, recognize their effort, and celebrate the success of the board. So if board members, take on a particular responsibility and they were able to deliver results, you need to be able to reward them. Reward, of course, it's relative, so you need to know what's important to these board members and then reward them accordingly. Also, you need to be able to recognize their effort. Tell the rest of the board what each board member has done. Put that across your social media handle. Let the world know that these board members are helping you create results. Without recognizing their efforts, you're most likely downplaying what your board members are doing, and then you may not get their full attention or support. And then, of course, celebrate success. Whatever you all do together, whatever results you all create together, celebrate it, appreciate it. Let them know that you guys are on a winning streak and you are always open to celebrate whatever success that comes along the way. By taking these clear 7 steps, right, you can re-engage and re-motivate any board member, whether it's even a quality or a board member who's not even good at what he does. But by following them, right, helping them self-assess themselves, you self-assessing the board, see the gap, helping them, have that conversation where they get to make a decision forward based on the result of their assessment, providing each board member the support they need to, move forward, whether it's transiting off the board or staying on the board, planning strategically with these board members or reviewing your strategic plan with them helps them find alignment. Delegating responsibilities to them and asking them to join committees help them take up responsibilities that keep them engaged within the organization. And then, of course, creating accountability processes so that they can follow through on the responsibilities that have been delegated to them. And then lastly, rewarding their success, recognizing their effort, and also celebrating success together as a board. With these clear 7 steps, you can re-engage and re-motivate any board and get them back on track to begin working with you towards the success of your organization. So like I said, how you bring your board members in and also how you engage them once they're in is what ensures a successful board. There's a standard process to recruitment, which I'm going to talk tomorrow on. And then, of course, how you engage them, which I've listed: accountability processes, planning with them, taking up responsibilities, recognizing their success. All that are within the scope of the operations within the organization that keeps them engaged, so that they are constantly in touch with the organization. So until I see you tomorrow again, where I'll be talking on recruiting board members and the actual steps to go through to make that happen, it's gonna be bye bye.